It's probably fine.
Paul, our protagonist, loved his car. Okay, loved might be a strong word. Let's just say he tolerated it. It was a hand-me-down Beamer, a chariot of questionable history and even more questionable noises. Lately, however, the noises had escalated from a gentle purr to a symphony of squeaks, groans, and the occasional plume of suspicious smoke.
It's probably fine, Paul muttered, ignoring the flashing check engine light like a true optimist, or maybe just a guy who hated dealing with mechanics. But deep down, Paul knew. He knew this wasn't just a friendly reminder to check the oil. This was his car staging a full-blown intervention. Ignoring the problem wasn't going to make it disappear. It was a ticking time bomb of potential repair bills, and Paul was holding the detonator, or more accurately, the car keys. The question was, would he address the issue before it turned into a full-blown automotive apocalypse? Or would he procrastinate his way into a financial black hole? This, my friends, is where the age-old battle of the Proverbs comes into play.
A stitch in time saves nine, the old adage goes. Now, unless Paul was planning on knitting a cozy for his engine block, not a bad idea, actually, this proverb needed a little translation. In car terms, it means this: fix the small problem now before it snowballs into a catastrophic and expensive mess later. Think of it like this: a loose gas cap. Annoying, sure, but an easy fix. Ignore it, however, and you're looking at a world of pain in the form of evaporated fuel, reduced gas, mileage, and potentially even damage to your car's evaporative emissions system. Suddenly, that $5 gas cap replacement seems like a steal compared to the hundreds or thousands you'll shell out later. A stitch in time isn't just about saving money, it's about saving yourself a whole lot of stress and hassle. Because let's be honest, nobody enjoys spending their Saturday afternoon at the mechanics, listening to the soothing sounds of power tools and the faint scent of despair. Now, let's hear it for the other side of the coin, or should we say the other side of the flat tire. Better late than never, the procrastinator's anthem, the rallying cry of those who live life on the edge of their mechanic's wrench.
Sure, maybe you didn't address the problem immediately, but hey, at least you're addressing it eventually, right? Right?
This proverb is the ultimate justification for putting things off until the very last minute, the "I'll cross that bridge when I get there" mentality that has gotten many of us through deadlines, dentist appointments, and yes, even car troubles. It's the belief that even if you're a little or a lot late to the party, showing up at all is better than being a complete no-show. But is it really? While there's some merit to the idea that something is better than nothing when it comes to car repairs, this philosophy can backfire faster than a rusty exhaust pipe.
It's probably fine.
Remember Paul and his symphony of car troubles? Well, our friend decided to embrace the better late than never approach. It's probably fine, he'd say, conveniently ignoring the growing puddle of unidentified fluid in his driveway. He'd crank up the radio to drown out the concerning clunking noises, convincing himself it was just the bass line. But the universe has a funny way of exposing our self-deception, and Paul's moment of truth came in the form of a very public, very dramatic engine failure. Picture this: rush hour traffic, horns blaring and Paul's Beamer sputtering to a halt in the middle of the freeway, smoke billowing from the hood like a scene from a Michael Bay film. Not exactly the grand exit he had in mind. The tow truck driver, a man who had seen more engine malfunctions than hot dinners, simply chuckled and shook his head. "Should have got that looked at sooner, buddy," he said, winching the deceased Beamer onto his truck. Paul, now facing a hefty tow bill and an even heftier repair estimate, was starting to realize the error of his procrastinating ways. Turns out sometimes late is just, well, expensive. Section 5. Stitch in time, the pros and very few cons. Let's break it down, shall we? A stitch in time is like that annoyingly responsible friend who always has a first aid kit, a backup plan, and a fire extinguisher just in case. Sure, they might seem a little over-prepared, but when disaster strikes, and it always does, you're secretly grateful for their neurotic tendencies. The pros of this proactive approach are pretty clear: saving money. Fixing small problems early prevents them from morphing into big budget-draining monsters. Peace of mind. Knowing your car is in tip-top shape means you can hit the open road without the constant fear of a breakdown. Safety first. Ignoring car problems can compromise your safety and that of others on the road. The cons? Well, there's the slight chance you might spend a bit of money on a problem that wasn't going to escalate, but let's be honest, that's a small price to pay for the peace of mind and potential cost savings down the line. Section 6, better late than never, the upside of delay. Spoiler alert, there isn't much. Now for the better late than never philosophy. It's the free-spirited friend who throws caution and car maintenance schedules to the wind. They live life on their own terms. Consequences be damned. While this approach might work for some things, like trying that new sushi place down the street, and when it comes to car repairs, it's a recipe for disaster. The pros of waiting until the last minute are few and far between. Maybe you get lucky and dodge a major breakdown, unlikely, but hey, stranger things have happened. Or perhaps you enjoy the adrenaline rush of driving a vehicle that's one pothole away from bursting into flames. But let's face it, the cons far outweigh the pros' financial ruin. Remember that hefty repair bill Paul was facing? Yeah, that's not an anomaly. Stress and inconvenience. Breaking down on the side of the road is never fun. It's stressful, time-consuming, and potentially dangerous, safety hazards. Ignoring car problems can put you and others at risk, which is never a good look. Section 7, the verdict when being fashionably late doesn't fly. So there you have it. The battle of the proverbs, the showdown of the sayings, the clash of the... Okay, you get the point. While better late than never might have its place in some areas of life when it comes to car repairs, a stitch in time saves 9 reigns supreme. It's like choosing between 2 desserts, a delicious, perfectly portioned slice of cake or a plate of week-old stale cookies. Sure, the cookies are technically still edible, but why settle for mediocrity when you can have something truly satisfying? Taking care of your car might not be as glamorous as, say, picking out a new sound system or fuzzy dice for your rearview mirror, but it's the responsible, cost-effective, and ultimately more enjoyable way to go. Section 8. Life lessons from a beaten-up Beamer. It's not just about the car. Paul's car troubles might seem like a funny anecdote, but they highlight a bigger point. Procrastination rarely pays off, whether it's ignoring that weird noise coming from your washing machine, putting off that dentist appointment, or yes, neglecting your car's cry for help. Putting things off usually just makes them worse and more expensive in the long run. Think of it like this. Life is a series of small stitches. Some are easier to make than others, but each one contributes to the overall tapestry of our experiences. Ignoring those stitches, hoping they'll magically fix themselves, is like trying to weave a masterpiece with frayed threads and blunt needles. So the next time you're tempted to ignore that nagging voice in your head or that flashing check engine light, remember Paul and his ill-fated Beamer. Sometimes, a little preventative maintenance is all it takes to avoid a major meltdown. Section 9, the importance of regular maintenance, because prevention is cheaper than a new transmission. Let's get practical, shall we? Here's the thing. Cars, like all complex machines, require regular maintenance to function properly. Think of it like going to the doctor for a checkup. You might not feel sick, but those routine visits can catch potential problems early on before they become major health concerns. The same principle applies to your car. Regular oil changes, tire rotations, brake inspections, and fluid top-offs might not seem exciting, but they're crucial for keeping your vehicle running smoothly and preventing costly repairs down the line. It's like brushing and flossing your teeth. It's not the most glamorous part of your day, but it saves you a lot of pain and expensive dental bills in the long run. So do yourself and your wallet a favor and make friends with your mechanic. Schedule regular checkups, address small problems before they become big ones, and enjoy the peace of mind that comes with knowing your car is in tip-top shape. Section 10. So what will it be, Paul, and everyone else facing life's little dilemmas? As for Paul, well, he learned his lesson the hard way. He's now the proud owner of a refurbished Beamer and a newfound appreciation for the stitch-in-time philosophy. He's also a regular at his mechanic's shop, much to the amusement of the tow truck driver, who still teases him about that fateful day on the freeway. The moral of the story: don't be like Paul. Don't wait for a catastrophic breakdown to realize the importance of timely maintenance. Embrace the stitch-in-time approach, not just for your car, but for all aspects of life. Trust me, your future self will thank you for it. And hey, if all else fails, there's always public transportation.
Yeah, I learned my lesson. No more procrastination for me.
It's true, a little effort now saves a lot of trouble later.
And if you ever need a new ride, you know where to find me.